Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining on my video on my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, welcome. My name is Carmelita Keith. I am from Petersburg, Virginia, and I recently moved to Lisbon, Portugal. And so I've been doing a couple videos just to give updates on my move to Lisbon. I've done a few videos. If you haven't seen them before, go back and check out some of the earlier videos where I talk about why I moved to Lisbon, what my experiences have been since I've been here. But now I am doing an update because I've been here for a little over a month. I stopped counting the days, so don't know exactly how many days I've been here, but I've definitely been here for more than 30 days now. Just coming up, like I said, on about 5 or 6 weeks that I've been here. So I want to give an update before I get too far gone, and it's just too much to update because I like to keep the videos pretty short. But I actually have a whole list of things to discuss today and kind of update you guys on. Some of these are just answers to some questions that I've received since my last video. So I posted maybe a couple last week. I went to church for the first time 2 weeks ago. And so I've been twice now. I really do like the church. It's a non-denominational, but very, very diverse church. Service was good. Someone asked me, was it in English? Yes, it was. Church service was in English. I specifically looked for a church that the service was in English because I still do not know Portuguese. My update on my Portuguese, I was scheduled to start a language program. I was supposed to start this past Monday. However, the school actually suggested that I wait to begin the program because I do have to return to the U.S. And because I will be returning to the U.S. for an extended amount of time, they felt like I needed to wait until I come back to Portugal long term. Basically, they were like, once you go back to the U.S. and you're not practicing Portuguese every day, you're going to lose it. So you should probably just wait till you're here, for a really long time before you actually take the time to learn the language extensively through the learning program. So I haven't started my language program. I will sign up when I do come back. Speaking of coming back to the U.S., one of the questions that I've received from a couple people is about my visa process, which is why I am going to be returning to the U.S. So the visa process is, it can be quite an extensive process. I did hire an attorney to do it for me. You can do it by yourself, but I've heard that trying to navigate the visa process on your own can be pretty difficult. I had hired an attorney and it's still a lengthy process. So I do have to return to the U.S. because my visa application has not gone through yet. I haven't done my visa application. Well, I've submitted for my visa application, but you have to have appointments and all those kind of things. And so that's not completed yet. So I do not have a visa to stay here long term. So I will be returning to the U.S. Somebody asked me about the visa, navigating the visa process. I would suggest you get an attorney just because the laws in Portugal change. And you don't, obviously, you wouldn't know what those are. The processes change. And so hiring an attorney does make that, kind of takes that update and navigating that makes that a little easier. Let me say this about my choice in Portugal. I did choose Portugal for several reasons. I mentioned some of those in my previous video, but I have heard from a lot of people who are interested in moving out of the country. I will suggest that you find or kind of figure out, do your research and figure out what country will work for you. I like Portugal. Portugal seems to be working for me right now. Again, I'm not saying I'm going to be in Portugal forever. I'm going to be in Portugal until Portugal doesn't work for me anymore. Then I'll go somewhere else. But every country's different. Every country's different, and it's kind of depending on the vibe you're looking for or your personality, Portugal might not work for you. I've talked to people who want to move to Italy. I've talked to people who want to move to Spain. I've talked to people who want to move to Costa Rica. I know people who've moved to Panama. So just kind of do your own research to figure out what country has more of the vibe that you're looking for. Obviously, you'd want to visit that place. I talked to someone who was in France for a little while, and they said that they didn't really like France because it felt more isolated. People kind of stay home a lot, and I don't know, but just again, figure out what works for you. If you're looking for somewhere that has a vibrant nightlife, that might not be everywhere. So figure out that part on your own. Don't be swayed by just, where someone else is. Make sure you find the right country that kind of works for whatever it is you're looking for. Again, I chose Lisbon. And I just want to say that, for me, what I found so far is that Lisbon is, I would say, slower. The pace is slower. Nobody's in a rush here. People are very patient. The pace is a little slower, but Lisbon is a progressive city. Like it's not, I don't feel like it's really behind, so to speak. I mean, they do some things that we might do a little bit more quickly or efficiently in the US, but for the most part, it's a progressive city. They have high rises, they have, businesses, they have a very progressive transportation system. I use the public transportation system. They have buses, metros, and trains. They have malls and designer stores and, all the things, that I feel like I need. Again, it's a very progressive city. I think I've talked about it in a previous video where a lot of buildings don't have AC. A lot of buildings don't have heat, but it's because the climate typically doesn't, require that either of those things are necessary for survival. It's comforts that you don't have to have because it never gets really, really hot. I think one week I was here was unusually hot. I think it hit like 100 degrees, and everyone here had a hard time because those were unusual temperatures for Lisbon. So it's not usually that hot, so you don't have to have AC. Again, it's a comfort that obviously if you want that, you can have it, but you don't have to have it to survive. Apparently in the winter, I haven't been here during the colder months, but apparently it does get cold, but I've heard that like a little space heater might be enough, or some people say they just layer up in the house or whatever, but it's not like you're not going to freeze. The temperatures don't drop below freezing and that kind of thing or whatever. So again, they have, but let me be very clear. When I say it's a very progressive city, when I talk about the things that I might not have or the things that they typically don't have, they do have them. It is available to you. It's just looked at more as a luxury. I may have mentioned in a previous video that they didn't have king size pillows. I have also learned that when someone tells you they don't have something, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in Portugal. It may mean that this store does not have it or that it's not commonly found. I have found king size pillows. But obviously I slept just fine on a regular pillow. I didn't need king size pillows, but I do like them on my bed, more than the regular size pillows because I have a king size bed. So again, like I said, originally the person in that store was like, that's not a thing here. They didn't have larger pillows, but that wasn't really true. It just wasn't at that store. And I hadn't seen them at several stores, but I did find a store where I was able to purchase king size pillows. So I've slowly but surely learned that just because one place doesn't have it, or just because someone says we don't have that, they say it so broadly like it's not a thing in Portugal. It's actually still available. Like I said, you might have to go to a different store or, continue to ask around. But they do have, a lot of the luxuries. You just have to kind of seek them out because they're not as commonplace. The other thing is, but again, like I said, it's very progressive. They have, nice neighborhoods. They have big houses here and obviously luxury neighborhoods. They have, again, high rises. They have nice cars. And so you just kind of got to choose what works for you. I chose a common lifestyle. I live in a neighborhood here in Lisbon. I live in an apartment building. It's 4 floors. I live on the top floor. There is no elevator. I walk up the steps every day, like up and down the steps every day of my 4th floor building. Now, are there buildings with elevators? Absolutely. If you don't want to do steps, you can get an apartment in a building that's newer and has an elevator. So it's just about finding what works for you, what you're comfortable with, what makes you happy, what you have to have. Again, I chose more common space. I'm kind of looking for a more simple lifestyle. I do like luxuries, but I also, I'm from Petersburg, Virginia. I came from a small town. I didn't grow up with the silver spoon, I guess I would say. And so this isn't like terrible for me to have to come up the stairs. Actually, I felt like I wanted to welcome it because it's some daily exercise and I need that in my life. So again, they do have all the luxuries, the buildings with the elevators if that's what you want. I may have mentioned in the previous video that they don't have like a lot of the options that we have in the US. I've had a lot of conversations about all the things that we have in our grocery stores that they don't have here. So, I mean, you go to the salad dressing aisle at home and it's 3 shelves and a whole aisle with 15 different salad dressings. That's not the case here. You're gonna have just a couple of different options to choose from, but not all the different barbecue sauces, not all the different salad dressings, just maybe 2 or 3 options to choose from. But it's good. One of the things that's been hard for me to adjust to, someone asked about something that's hard for me to adjust to, is actually living in a neighborhood, living in an apartment building where I have to hear like other people. I haven't lived in an apartment in a long, I mean, like since like college, I guess. But getting used to being in an apartment and hearing like the people under me, or hearing people outside my window, hearing cars pass by, that's been a little bit different for me. And they also operate on different kind of hours. Like I said, no one's in a rush here. Things kind of happen late. Nobody really gets up and moves early in the morning. Like I'm really the earliest person to move in my building. But one thing that's really interesting, the trash pickup is at midnight. And so you're supposed to put your trash out after 6 p.m. But trash pickup is at midnight, and the trash comes like 3 times a week. But I hear it. I hear the trash truck at midnight, and I'm just like, oh, why does the trash pick up at midnight? But for us at home, like the trash could come at 6 or 7 in the morning, and here that would be like disruptive for the culture. Like they don't move that early. Like they probably would be really angry if they heard the trash truck at 6 or 7 in the morning. For me, I have to get used to hearing it at midnight. Like I said, trash picks up 3 times a week because everything's pretty fresh here, and so they really you do have to dump your trash regularly. Like you can't keep the trash. You dump the trash regularly. And it has to like be taken away regularly. You can't have the trash just kind of pile up, or it would obviously create bugs and things like that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was just meeting people. So I have met a couple new people. There are different communities and groups that you can kind of go to and network and meet people. I went to an international picnic, I think it was last weekend, where I was the only Black American there, but there were other people from other countries who had moved here to Lisbon. And so I met a couple people there. I met someone at church the first week I went. She's from the US, and she and I had coffee like the next day. We like had a good vibe, and we've hung out again since then. So that's been cool. I found a hairdresser, a hairstylist. She does natural hair. She's from Jersey. She moved here. So I've connected with her. And then there's a Black Americans in Lisbon group that meets for brunch every Wednesday, same time, same place. You can come. Anybody, they also post on Facebook, and if someone is visiting Lisbon, they invite people who are just visiting to come to the brunch or to ask questions about where to go and what to do. And so I've gone to that a few times and made some connections there. So just kind of got to find your community, go out, network. Also went to another picnic in the park and actually met someone who lives in the building across from me. And so she put me in the neighborhood WhatsApp group, and that's been cool because they just kind of hit up the WhatsApp group whenever they're looking for someone to do a repair, someone to paint. They had messages where somebody needed an iron and somebody else gave them one. And so you kind of just got to get out and make connections. And I think that's, I want to also talk about pre-moves. I am a reader. So if you have seen a couple of my videos, I very rarely get through a video without referencing a book. So I am currently reading Chase the Lion by Mark Batterson. And one of the recent portions of the book that I read talked about God's pre-moves. And I just wanted to share that because again, in a previous video, I talked about, I feel like everything, I don't live with regrets. I don't have regrets about anything that I've done. I think all of those things had to happen to get me to where I am in life now. And I kind of, like, when I was reading the book, I kind of feel like, as the book was pointing out, like, those are like God's pre-moves. Like, those are things that had to happen before the big move. Like, this is like for me right now, this is a big move for me. This is really my dream. I'm living my dream life and all the things. But I just thought about, when I was reading, how the book talks about how God opens doors and closed doors, and he calls it pre-moves. And again, I mentioned before, Portugal wasn't on my list of places to visit or places to live, but I got here and it, it kind of all clicked. But I just feel like, just kind of think about the things that have happened in your life that got you to where you are now. And even though some of those things were really, really hard or tough, or just you might have thought you weren't going to make it through them, but those are just pre-moves. Like sometimes things have to be hard to push you to the next place. And like I said, when I was reading the book, it was just like, that's so true. Like it was just a pre-move to get me to where I am. So I'm really grateful for that. But again, like I said, I very rarely can get through a video without referencing a book or something I'm reading. And I just wanted to make that note. Someone else asked me about my place. So I am, like I said, I have an apartment here in Lisbon. I have a beautiful view. I think pretty much all of my pictures or videos have been, I sit over here at my desk. This is my workspace over here behind me. And I will share my view. So this is my balcony. Like I said, I am on a 4th floor walk up. The cost for the view, the price for the view is taking the stairs, getting up to the top floors. So that is, this is kind of where I hang out. I'll just spin the camera around really quickly. So this is my upstairs. And like I said, I do have, I mentioned in a previous video, I actually do have air conditioning upstairs in my apartment. I do not have air conditioning downstairs in my apartment, which seemed kind of funny to me because I was thinking that would it really cool up here, but it does actually cool really well up here with the AC. It does not go downstairs. It's typically a little bit warm downstairs, but not uncomfortably warm. And actually, the temperature drops pretty much at night. So much at night that I have to close the windows. Like it's cold. It's pretty cold at night if you don't close. It's pretty cool if you don't close the windows. So at night the temperature drops to the point where I have to close the windows. If you were outside, you probably could or would want to put on a jacket at night. So in the daytime it's a little bit warm, but again, not unbearably warm. But like I said, my downstairs does not have AC. And it hasn't been, other than that 1 week where, like I said, the temperatures were unusually warm, it hasn't been bad. In my other videos, I have talked about the flies. I'm over them. They don't bother me. They come in, they go out. It's okay. They do have mosquitoes here. I do have some mosquito bites. Can't say that it's from just being at home or it could be just being out, but mosquitoes love me even in the States. So I just seem to be a magnet for mosquitoes. So I got mosquito bites on my forehead. So I have quite a few mosquito bites. So that's been like, ugh. But like I said, mosquitoes love me even in the US. So it hasn't been like alarming. Other than that, that's the update. I don't have anything else. If you have any questions or comments, please like the video and put your questions, comments below. I will come back with another update, pretty soon. I am thinking about taking some trips from here because traveling outside of Portugal, the flights are pretty cheap to go somewhere else. So I am considering taking a trip from here to visit some other place. And I'll talk about that on my next video because it kind of goes back into my time here as it relates to my visa. Anyway, that'll be next video. This is my update. And again, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys back again soon. Take care.